Sorry if you guys can hear loud noise in the background. It's actually my computer fan going because I've been rendering a video for, actually, just to give you guys a little bit of insight on how it all kind of works. It's episode 7, or the finale for my Final Fantasy 15 playthrough. And it's just about halfway done. It's been rendering for 3.5 hours. And it's missing approximately another 3.5 hours. And that's not even counting editing and uploading. Man, Let's Playing is fun. Hey, what's up, gentlemen and ladies? Happy Sausage Day to all of my viewers from the UK. So today I actually wanted to talk about the Final Fantasy 15 DLC episodes for the 3 characters other than Noctis that we will be getting to play as. So the episode Gladiolus, the episode Ignis, and the episode Prompto. By the way, spoiler warning for Final Fantasy 15 if you guys have not played the game, which by now you probably should have, but regardless. Spoilers! Now, most of us from playing the game pretty much figured out when those episodes are going to take place, but we don't 100% know what's actually going to happen in them. I mean, hey, for all we know, episode Gladiolus could be him doing his laundry. I mean, hey, I wouldn't mind seeing Gladio doing his laundry. But in reality, I actually had pretty much an idea that I think would be really good if they did for the 3 different episodes, specifically having to do with the villains that they fight. Because, see, leading up to the release of Final Fantasy 15, they announced, like, a bunch of villains, a whole big group of different characters, and they all had different roles and all this different stuff that they were going to do. And then they all died off screen. Good job, Tabata. I mean, yes, I know that there's those rumors going around that in episode Gladiolus you're actually gonna get to fight Gilgamesh, and while that would be cool, don't get me wrong, I personally would like to see something else. So for episode Prompto, that one's pretty obvious. I think most people pretty much figured out what they were gonna do. So in the second half of the game, there is a part where Prompto accidentally gets kicked off the train by Noctis because, well, for some magic bullshit that I'm not gonna go into right now, but, realistically, Prompto should have died, but, you know, Final Fantasy physics, Advent Children for the win. However, as most of us by now have heard from the Final Fantasy 15 guide that reveals that Versteel, however the fuck you're supposed to say his name to this day, I still don't know, is actually Prompto's dad, and presumably his DLC will have something to do with him because, you know, for someone that we found out about before a bunch of other relevant characters in the game, he certainly did have that one cutscene that he was in, and, well, that was it. Which I actually thought that God damn it, phone. I actually thought that the original reason why they didn't reveal his last name was because, well, you know, he was Prompto's dad, so his last name would have been Argentum, and that would have kind of given it away. But then we found out later that his last name is actually Basithia. So, I don't know. But by the time that Prompto does come back to your party, he does know more about himself and how he's an MT and all that stuff. It's unclear if he really already knew that beforehand, or if he found out while he was away and then came back to your party, and then had the information and was able to unlock the doors, because how useful, right? Congratulations, Prompto, you're good for something. Well, you know, other than being the fan favorite, but that's besides the point. I would love it if the way that he found out about this was actually by, at some point, confronting Versteel, whatever the... Can I just call him Verse? I'm gonna call him Verse. If he confronted Verse and he told him that he was his father and all this stuff about the MT, and then Prompto actually fought and killed him, that'd be pretty cool. The only downside is that, well, it's Prompto that we'd be getting to play as, and you know, not gonna call anybody out specifically, but yeah, the guns in Final Fantasy 15 kinda suck ass. But moving right along to Ignis Scientia. Now, this is the one that I think most people don't really have any clue on how it's gonna go down. Like, we know that something is gonna happen after the Leviathan boss fight that causes Ignis to go blind, and then he meets us back at the chapter 10, I believe it was. Don't quote me on that, though. When he's sitting in the chair and greets Noctis and all this kind of stuff, which, may I just point out, Final Fantasy 15 does like the traditional Final Fantasy thing where the party splits up and you get to control the party all, you know, in different places around the map at different times doing different stuff until they eventually all come back together. Except this time around, Tabata was like, fuck you, you're paying for it. Oh, the beauty of modern day gaming. I love it. But yeah, what I actually think would be really fitting for Ignis is if he actually fought the Emperor, Idolus Aldricaptor, Idolus Aldricaptor, again, the names, guys. Now, even though thematically Ignis doesn't really have any strong connection to this guy or any reason to really want to kill him, he is the leader of the Empire, and he just kind of dies off screen, and then we find out that he got turned into a Sith, which, I'm sorry, that's what I'm gonna call them because that's what they are. Sith. I think it would be really cool if Ignis actually fought Idolus, and, you know, even though he defeated him at the end of the battle, he ended up getting blind, but it was a sacrifice that he had to make to defeat the greater evil. Also, I've pointed this out in the past, but his name Idolus actually comes from the Greek word Eidolon, which, as we all know in the FNC, are actually the summons of the game, so, maybe he's some kind of summoner? I don't know, you know, I'm just throwing ideas out there, Square, feel free to take any of them. And this is a very, very, I guess, small detail that they might have overlooked. I mean, it's not a small detail, but they might have, you know, not done this on purpose. But, you guys ever notice that Ignis has a British accent? And everyone else from Lucis has an American accent. Now, I'm not bringing this up because it's Sausage Day. No, quite the contrary. See, the only other people that we see in the game who talk in British accents are the people from Tenebrae, which is a colony of Niflheim, and the people of Niflheim. So maybe, just maybe, Ignis is actually from Niflheim, which would add a lot more to his character, and it would be a lot cooler if he was defeating his former emperor. Will they actually do this? Probably not, if I'm being honest with you guys, but it would be cool. I'm just throwing ideas out there. I really hope that they take at least one of these. And finally, Gladiolus, or Daddiolus, as everybody's been calling him. So with him, like I said, there's been that rumor going around that he's gonna get to fight Gilgamesh and the, you know, the underground volcano bullshit. I'm not gonna go into that right now, guys. Okay, I'm just down. But one thing that I actually think would be really cool if he did is if he actually found out that General Glauca from Kingsglaive was still alive. Now, for those of you that have not seen Kingsglaive, in that movie, Glauca not only kills Regis, but he also kills Clarus, Gladio's dad. So he would actually have a personal motivation to want to kill him and, you know, in a much bigger scale, the Empire. I think that it could make an amazing boss fight in the game to actually get to fight General Glauca, and it would give me an excuse to have made my Who is General Glauca video, even though I said that I wouldn't be making any videos for Kingsglaive characters, and people kept begging for Nyx over and over again, yet I made one for Glauca even though he wasn't in the game. I'm sorry, guys! It would give great character development for Gladio, which he was honestly kind of missing in the game. Like, the very little character development that we do get for Ignis and Prompto was way more than we ever got for Gladio, so I don't know. I think that it would be cool, but who knows what they'll end up doing. And hey, if you guys have any ideas for what they could do for these possible characters, or maybe not even these characters, maybe other characters, I don't know, we could end up having midlife crisis Core. Side note here, an episode on Corleones would actually be pretty badass, I'm not even gonna lie. Be sure to let me know all that stuff in the comments, but either way, that's all that I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to blitz that like button, subscribe, and as always, stay tuned for all things Final Fantasy. See you guys.